As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love.
Life has its battles, sorrows and regrets, but in the shadows, let us not forget. We who together know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here.
As we enter into worship, put away the pressures of the world that ask us to perform, to take up Mass, to put on brave fronts. Silence the voices that ask you to be perfect. This is a community of compassion and welcoming. You do not have to do anything to earn the love contained within these walls.
Good morning, everyone. I am Donna Evans-Deyermond, typically a worship associate, but today leading the service, and with me is Barbara Walker, our commissioned lay minister. Once again, we come to West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church. So glad you're here this morning, and we are glad about the folks who are joining us from home. Welcome to you also. We have so much that's going on here. In fact, you could spend all of your life here if you wanted to. Check out the West Shore Weekly in your order of service about events that are coming up and how you can get involved. We're excited to welcome you this morning. Let's get up now and greet each other warmly. Look for someone that you don't know and say hi. You can always say hi to the folks that you do know during coffee hour. Greeting time.
We come to this good morning, remembering the journey of freedom, the land we are on on others. We mourn the legacies of oppression. Healing is our way forward. Joy is the birthright of hope.
I sense a certain energy in the room today. I think everybody's just happy that it's not quite as hot as it was yesterday, right? Yeah. Each Sunday morning, we are called upon to show our support for this church by participating in the ritual of the offering. Your heartfelt donations sustain West Shore in so many ways, from meeting the mundane needs of cleaning and maintenance to the uplifting music we hear each Sunday and the programs that we participate in during the week. Your contributions are the building blocks of this congregation. The offering will now be taken and gratefully received.
From the words of poet Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers, Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are headed home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Let us rise and sing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Look the hand giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
And now, all are welcome to come forward to share from the heart in our ritual of for all that is our lives. Can we form two lines? Come forward, choose a stone, and if you have something to write on a card, please write it and place it in the basket. Thank you. These are the joys and sorrows of our hearts, which in Reverend McCarr's absence will be shared with Kathy Strausser, head of our pastoral care team, and held with care until Reverend McCarr's return.
Is our life, we give our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
A few months ago, I did a reflection here where I briefly mentioned the beginning of my spiritual journey, and I promised to fill you in more in the future. I know you've been waiting with bated breath for that. Well, the future is here. It's not that exciting of a tale, but most people wonder how the daughter of an agnostic mother who openly disliked organized religion, and an atheist father who had been raised in a Methodist church, ends up getting a theological degree from a Catholic seminary and speaking in Unitarian Universalist churches. How's that for name dropping? A lot of different kinds of theology. I would say, regardless of our families of origin, there are those of us who, from our early days, feel strongly that there is a spirit within our beings and recognize the need to nurture that very important piece of ourselves. My parents allowed me to go to Sunday school at a United Church of Christ church and also to attend Catholic masses with my friends' families. Somehow, I was drawn to the rituals, the music, the comforting words in the sermons, the readings, and the lessons. At one point in my life, I actually even dabbled in a very fundamentalist sect, but that didn't last long when I was asked about the exact moment in time that I had been saved. It was blindingly clear to me that this black and white, right and wrong version of spirituality just wasn't my bag. Many years later, I set out to find out what really was my bag and attended a UU church, which in turn led me to pursue theological studies at the Catholic seminary. I went there because it was close and convenient, and when I started, I was raising 3 children. I didn't have the option of traveling like to Colgate in Rochester, so I just went to the Christ the King Seminary. But I learned a lot from the Jesuit priests who taught there, one of whom said in a Catholic theology class, "Well, this is what we all believe. It is not what we know. No one knows for sure." So that is how I came to be standing here, talking to you about worship. If you've been fortunate, like me, and have been to Europe, you've no doubt seen the immensely high arched ceilings of the churches and the basilicas there yourself. If not, you've seen Westminster Abbey on TV or photos of others. And these buildings are truly engineering marvels, particularly considering the time period in which they were constructed. In fact, the picture on the front of your order of service is a picture that I took of a basilica in Portugal this year. Recently, I got to go to Lisbon, and my friend Jane and I climbed 112 steps to the roof of the Basilica de Estrela, reaching the gallery of the highest dome, where we peered down on a service that was actually taking place. The priests and the congregation looked like miniature dolls at our feet. And that is the point of these tremendous edifices, to inspire awe in human beings, to set the stage for the worship of a divinity that, like the buildings themselves, is so much larger than humans, a divinity that is the grandest mystery of life. Our sanctuary is a sacred space, but it's not awe-inspiring on quite the same scale. It's not as large, there's no incense, not as much gold, there's no grand oil paintings or huge crucifix dominating the altar. Our ministers don't dress in elaborate robes or read from ancient Bibles or scrolls. We don't hear as much talk about God or Christ. And yet, we still come here every Sunday to worship. We still find our sanctuary a place of peace and beauty. Are we so different from other religions? As any minister in a Unitarian Universalist church will tell you, it's a fine line to walk when it comes to speaking about theology and worship from a UU pulpit. The dictionary defines worship as the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity, the worship of God. For some Unitarian Universalists, that definition's not a good fit. The reason for this is not, as many who are unfamiliar with Unitarian Universalism often think, because UUs don't believe in anything. We do have beliefs. The challenge for creating a worship service is that we don't all hold the same beliefs. The people in our churches can be humanists, theists, agnostics, atheists, Wiccan, Buddhist. It's a long list. Not only do we all have different ideas of what God or the mystery is, we have different ideas of what we expect from worship. Many, many moons ago, I attended a sermon at the downtown Buffalo UU Church, which was given by an interim minister named Margaret O'Neill. In her sermon, Reverend O'Neill mentioned that she had overheard this comment about herself. Well, she's okay, but she sure talks about God a lot. Damned by the atheists if you do, and by the theists if you don't. It is almost impossible to serve all masters in the UU Church. What anyone who speaks on a regular basis tries to do is choose words that will satisfy the culture of the individual church, for I find that each church does indeed have its own culture. In her sermon, Reverend O'Neill made the point that God was originally a much, much larger concept than it is in many religions today. Over the centuries, humans have molded the concept of God into a vision that is manageable for our own brains. Humankind has tailored the concept of God into one that copies our image, frequently male and frequently white. We've given it human characteristics and thought processes, and have ascribed it as the ultimate force in the cause of natural disasters, the course of wars, football games, personal challenges, and of course, as our final judge. We seem to have a thing about judgment. Earlier concepts of God saw the divine as a mystery so large it was impossible for us to fully understand it. Humans saw and accepted it as a force that could create the universe, as a spark that started the ball of evolution rolling, and as the greatest influencer on the path of humanity's journey. If parameters simplify life for us as humans, and I believe that they do, then that's why we had to cut God down to size. We are, after all, rather simple beings. The word worship is also defined as a feeling of reverence and adoration, and perhaps that's a better place for us UUs to start when we think about why we come to church. What is it we revere or adore? Instead of believing in the God that was made in our image, we might think of each of us as holding our own spark of divinity. And as in many yogic practices, we can honor the divine we see in our fellow human beings. We also have the option of going with the Buddhist belief that the big mystery of life can be defined as love, and love is present in all beings. Whichever we choose, Unitarian Universalists are true individuals when it comes to the mystery of how the universe got here, why we humans feel a need to reflect on that mystery, and how we reflect on it, how we feel reverence for it. Has anybody ever read Walter Isaacson's book on Albert Einstein? We all tend to think of Einstein as a brilliant physicist. As a physicist, he was known not to do actual physical experiments, but to explore science through what we call thought experiments. In other words, he thought about the problems of physics and developed theories about how the physical world works. Einstein was born a Jew, but he did not consider Judaism to be his religion, nor was he an atheist, as many people thought. Einstein spoke of how the exploration of science can strengthen one's belief in a higher power, saying, "Everyone who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that a spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe, a spirit vastly superior to that of man, and one in the face of which we, with our modest powers, must feel humble. In this way, the pursuit of science leads to a religious feeling of a special sort." Throughout his lifetime, people pressured Einstein to give his opinions on God and religion, and most of the time he was pretty reluctant to do so. Isaacson, however, dug up a conversation that Einstein had had with a small girl. Here's what he said to the little girl about God. "I cannot conceive of a personal God who would directly influence the actions of individuals or would sit in judgment on creatures of his own creation. My religiosity consists of a humble admiration of the infinitely superior spirit that reveals itself in the little we can comprehend about the knowable world. That deeply emotional conviction of the presence of a superior reasoning power, which is revealed in the incomprehensible universe, forms my idea of God." The little that we can comprehend, the incomprehensible universe. If a genius with the brain power of Einstein could not figure it out and was willing to settle with the idea of a mystery so vast that it is incomprehensible, then it seems quite acceptable to belong to a church where some have one understanding of the divine and others have another, and some are happy sitting on the bench. Maybe they are even sitting with Einstein. Our question of the day is not just how do we view the mystery, but how we implement worship services for our eclectic group. Let's go back to more traditional churches. Catholics, Episcopalians, Presbyterians, they do know what they're doing when it comes to worship. They have these impressive buildings, they have inspirational music, they have rituals. Their readings typically come from the Bible, usually parables that can be applied to life even today. There is wisdom in applying some of these practices in our church. We have our building, we have great inspiring music, and we have our rituals, just like we had just now. We have resources for readings that lead us to think about the spiritual side of life, and hopefully we have sermons that are not TED Talks or lectures on the environment or psychology, because we come here to take a break from all of that, to be reverent, to experience the love and the connection in our congregation. As Mary Oliver says, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. What pushes your worship buttons? Most likely, it's not the same thing that pushes the buttons of the neighbor sitting next to you. There are many approaches out in the world. Religions that rely heavily on rituals, ones that have healing ceremonies, worship that involves people speaking in tongues, call and response services where members of the congregation voice their agreement when the pastor says something they like. And there are the Quakers, who have no pastor but sit in silence until someone is moved to speak. There are Hindu temples and Muslim mosques, all hosts to worshipful services which may appeal to us or may make us very uncomfortable. In our church, we can pick and choose the practices that serve us best. A church should suit your needs and be a comfortable fit in all areas: philosophy, values, and worship. And if there's something that you like from another religion, something that makes you feel reverence, by all means, we should try it out here. It might work for more of us. But not all services in this church are going to touch all members every single time. We try, but that's not realistic. Even with the huge variety of worship practices the world offers, there is common ground. Have you ever noticed the similarity in the various words used to mark a prayer or a prayerful demeanor? Amen, Shalom, Om, Alleluia. No matter what tone, throughout history, worshipful words have been used in chants and mantras to summon a meditative state. Many words, many religions, one sound. One with our universe, one quest, worship. I believe we can also find the divine in the world around us. We don't have to be in church to be worshipful. We can experience worshipful spiritual moments wherever we as individuals find it, in nature, in music, in art, or science and mathematics, like Einstein. Wherever you find wonder can create a worshipful moment. The beauty of coming to a Sunday service is that the sole purpose of the practice is worship. It's a chance to calm our minds, to reflect on our lives, to be inspired by the place, the music, the words. It should open a door in our minds for worship as a part of everyday life, perhaps through daily prayer or meditation, or simply through stopping in the woods to listen to songbirds, or by paddling a canoe across a still, small, smooth lake. I will never forget camping in Algonquin Park many, many years ago, and getting up at 5 a.m. to watch the sunrise from a kayak on the lake. I will never forget the beautiful spider webs hung with dew and strung between the lake grasses. That awesomeness of nature was a worshipful moment for me. Remember Mary Oliver's words, "Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. The world and the worship services in this church announce your place in the family of things. We are sincerely glad to have you here each week, your presence enhancing our own experiences of worship. So be it, and blessed be. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through its storms.